This week I did something a little bit stupid. I thought it was going to fix a lot of issues in the long run, but it didn't. Hey all, I'm Andrew from Stasis Booth Games, and I'm currently developing We Are Not Alone, a hybrid first-person horror / third-person adventure experience. Now if that sounds cool to you, please follow the links in the description and wishlist. It's on Steam and Epic now as well, which we'll dig into in a little bit. Today's video was a little bit delayed, but also maybe a little bit brief. I'll give you a rundown on a few things that have been happening this past week and what's going to be happening for the next few weeks. My hair is totally unmanageable today, but beside the point, Epic Game Store. We Are Not Alone is now available to wishlist on the Epic Game Store, so if you prefer that as your platform of choice, it's now available. I saw a tweet a couple of weeks ago that the Epic Game Store is open for self-publishing, which is really good. I don't personally use it all that much, but any other avenue you can use to get your indie game out there in front of eyes is a really good thing. The process for submitting a game to the Epic Store is a lot like Steam as well. You upload your pictures, your descriptions, your requirements, everything. The picture sizes are a little bit different to what they say for the Steam Store, which meant that I had to go through and recreate most of my marketing materials, which was a little bit annoying. But what are you gonna do? The one major difference I noticed with the Epic Store is that absolutely everything needs approval from Epic. If you want to change a single screenshot later, or you want to change the recommended or minimum specifications for the game to run, it needs approval by Epic, and that can take a couple of days. So if you're going to be putting your indie game or your game in general onto the Epic Store, make sure everything is perfect before you hit that review button. All in all, I'm glad to be on the Epic Store. As I said, it's another avenue to get my indie game in front of people's eyes. Now onto the stupid thing I did this week, and that was format my computer. So the project itself is fine. That's on source control, so that I pulled down, everything works perfectly. But for about 3 weeks, I'd been having issues where my computer would just randomly crash. I'd get this Unity crash relating to Direct 3D, and then sometimes my computer entirely would just gone. If I ever saw that error in Unity, I'd have to reboot anyway, and it was driving me up the fucking wall. So I did the same thing. I reimaged my computer and deleted everything and started fresh. It worked. I wasn't getting the crashes for a few days. Now I hadn't installed anything differently from when I was not getting the crashes to getting the crashes, so I'm guessing it's just something to do with the current Unity build. I'm always running like the latest Unity version, like the 2022 point whatever they're up to now, so it could just be an intermittent bug in there. But hey, at least my computer's running a little bit nicer in every other regard. And the other issue which delayed this video was that I backed up everything I thought was essential. My project, my tools, all the applications, except for my video editing settings, my audio controller settings, which I need for this microphone, and that has just caused immense pain. But enough about that. We're back in action with recording. We're back in action with making. So let's jump in and talk about the demo testing. So I said that it was going out for people to try. People have tried it. Quite a few people have done this and tried to break the demo, and it is a really scary thing putting the demo out there. You're past the point where you're not just showing screenshots and videos and cool little GIFs that show off the good parts, and people can break it. Handing the build out was one of the most terrifying experiences in my life, apart from releasing 7th Chance a couple of years back. Why? Well, what happens if someone finds something game-breaking? What happens if all the people you've sent it to don't find it fun, even though you know people do enjoy it? And what if there are major bugs that are going to be a pain in the ass to solve? Well, I can tell you now that the reception was really good. Really, really good. This isn't just close friends. This is a few other people I know won't leak the build, but they don't have any reason to be super good friend. I'm gonna lie to you that your game is good. And it's been positive. Working for as long as I have getting this demo ready, I was worried about a few things in particular. And that was that, is the game actually atmospheric? Are the scares in there actually scary? You can only get scared by your own game so many times because you know exactly when things are gonna happen. The only time you do get scared is when something breaks and the monster appears when it shouldn't, And I actually screamed when doing a test. It was hilarious after the fact. Overall, what people are saying is the design of the game is really solid. It is scary, it is atmospheric, and it feels tense. But not with all those in-your-face jump scares. I don't like doing that. I had pages upon pages of recommendations and like minor bugs to fix, but I had about 3 pages of bugs and I was able to push out a new build within about 24 hours. That's crazy. In all, I released about 4 builds over 4 days because I was just so pumped about the response and knew that these things are so easy to fix. That means the demo is getting so much closer, just waiting on reports back from a few people. I've got to still do a little bit of extra work in terms of UI, but we'll touch on that in a minute. And that leads us into the other thing I did this week, which was controller implementation. One of the biggest hurdles this week, and it took me days, was implementing the controllers. These things are not the easiest thing to implement for a game. Not for what I was trying to do anyway. I'm using Rewired, which is a kind of a middleware between Unity and the controller itself. You can easily create controller maps, all your buttons and interactions and things like that. And it's really good. The issue I found is if you don't read their documentation from start to finish and you only really want to focus on one thing, it assumes that you know everything, and the documentation was just a little bit difficult to wrap my head around. I did figure it out, of course. There's just a few hidden settings it assumes you know about. So yeah, it was fun. No, it wasn't. But as of yesterday, the control is fully implemented. There's things that still need to be done, and that just relates to customizing the sensitivity depending on how you like it, controller inversion on the sticks, which I must say I am an inverted person, but that is all part of what's up next. Although before we get into it, I realized we didn't have one last week because she was in the video, but let's have a cat break. It was Laylee's 8th birthday yesterday. She got a new collar, a new leash, and of course some chicken. And here's her in the garden strutting her funky stuff this morning. All right, so what is happening now? The next 2 weeks are going to be very interesting because there is a massive milestone coming up, which could kind of change the course of how things are going. Starting tomorrow, Saturday here in Australian times, I'll be doing another sprint. This sprint is focusing entirely on UI, because there is UI in the game at the moment. I'm kind of proud of the main menu, it's just the buttons look like crap. But the UI in general, especially when it comes to the tutorializing, looks like hell. Just look at this. It drastically needs an overhaul and also needs the ability to, on the fly, detect what input device you are using, whether it's mouse and keyboard or controller, and switch out the UI so it's showing the correct tutorial. I didn't really want a screen that listed keyboard controls and controller controls, because it just seems messy and gross. And the icing on the cake there is that I have zero idea about UI design. I know the technical aspects of doing it in Unity, but visually, it just seems way out of my depth. So if you want to see progress on that, jump onto my Twitter this week. There's a link in the description, and you'll get to see live updates of how I'm going with the UI. The UI also extends into other things such as the options menu, which is a pretty big one for getting the demo out into your hands. If you'd like to know when the demo is available, as soon as it's available, join the mailing list by clicking the link in the description. The options menu is going to be an interesting situation. I did one for the 7th chance. It was kind of broken. It did everything it needed to. There was a few little bugs, but I can't for the life of me remember how I did it at the time. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun weekend. Also coming up, I mentioned there is a pretty big milestone, and that is the first of the funding options is gonna be closing in just over a month. I need to get this application in. So yeah, while I will be working this weekend primarily on game stuff, 2 weeks almost will be devoted to getting this pitch, budget, design documentation, project plans, and everything finalized. It's there in a very basic form. It just needs to fill all these requirements. If I don't hit one of them, I could be in trouble. And by trouble, I just mean that I'll get rejected for funding, which we don't want. I won't lie, it is making me increasingly nervous getting ready for this. I've got to put myself in front of a panel of people and try basically sell my game. That is just really scary to me. Even if it fails though, it's fine. As I said, this is one of many funding options I've got lined up. So if this one fails, it's okay. There's other options and this will be a great learning experience for the rest of them. And also one thing that would really help me out is it's not required, but the figures I could hand them would show, you know, the potential interest from customers. So if you haven't wishlisted We Are Not Alone yet on Steam or the Epic Store, I'd appreciate if you could click the links in the description and do so, because providing them with higher figures would be awesome. One very quick thing I wanted to touch on as well was, how did the sprint go over 2 weeks? Well, I love sprinting now. I was able to get so much done in that 2-week period and get the demo out for testing in what seemed like record time. Just the other day, I pulled off all the tasks that were marked as completed from the sprint board, basically did a refresh and got everything ready for this new sprint. Everything that needs to be done is sitting in the column to do. And when I pulled off those tasks, I decided to count them. 96 tasks. It doesn't look like that much at all, but 96 tasks. And that doesn't include all the bugs I found when testing or the bugs other people found when testing, which was all up probably 7 to 8 pages of other little things that needed to be fixed. I just found it easier because they were so small to write them down in a big list on a sheet of paper and just fix and tick them off really, really quickly. But yeah, sprinting, fucking amazing. All right, so going back over notes, this was actually a much busier week than I thought. And apologies that there are no topic videos and that this video was also delayed by a few days. I'm working so hard on getting this game ready, well, the demo ready, getting the pitching ready for the funding, and just making sure that the company is structurally sound, that I'm tired and I'm learning my limits. I'm finding that I need to take a few days off a week, which we did discuss before, but it's not really as structured. I've done this work, okay, I'm finishing on a Friday, I'm taking 2 days off. It is, I've worked super hard for a few days, I need to take a day off now. So hopefully you understand. I do really appreciate the nice comments I've had from some people when I posted about the video being delayed. Thank you very much. Speaking of time off, as soon as this video is recorded, edited, and uploaded, I'm gonna go enjoy this. Let me know if you're playing it down in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Andrew from Stasis Booth Games. Please like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and as always, stay indie.